Angelica Graswald has been charged with murdering her fiancé, Vince Viafor. Police say it was her alleged confession on Bannerman's Island and in their interrogation room that got her indicted.
By taking that plug out, you killed Vinny, correct?
Correct.
And you wanted that to happen, correct?
But that wasn't the end of the story. Not long after that epic 11-hour police interview, Angelica hires defense attorney Richard Portali, and he says everybody's gotten it dead wrong.
Do you believe in her innocence?
Well, I mean, I believe in it, but I know it because I have all the evidence.
Starting with the alleged bombshell confession on Bannerman's Island, Portali says it never happened. Cops made it all up.
They heard she was going to the island and they set on her. I mean, like a pack of wolves. There were 3 armed male senior investigators, and they pulled her to an isolated spot and they beat her up emotionally. And we have witnesses that saw it. They were trying to conjure up a confession and they didn't get it. And we know that they didn't get it because they didn't arrest her. If she had confessed, they would have put her in handcuffs, they would have read her rights. That's not what happened.
And Portali says detectives' behavior during that 11-hour interview proves it.
Now, I mean, you've watched every detective show. If she had said on the island that she intentionally killed Vincent Viafor, those detectives, investigators would have said to her, "You just told me that you killed him. 10, 20 minutes ago on the island, you said you killed him. And now you're going to sit here and deny it?" 11 hours. Never did that. Never did they ever say you confessed on the island, which is why we know it never happened, and they made it up.
In fact, there were moments like this.
Your account of what happened that night that don't make sense, okay?
So,
they were making sense when we were out on the island. Now you're kind of going back to, I don't know what you're going back to.
So that's in dispute. But what about what Angelica can clearly be heard saying on that interrogation video?
I wanted him dead, and now he's gone. And I'm okay with it.
Portali says that does not make her a maritime murderer.
So you don't think that's a confession of any kind?
You think it's a confession?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you.
That is not a confession. That's not I killed him. It reminds me of, the old gangster movies. When, the detective approaches a gangster that in some way, shape, or form is related to another mobster who has died, and he says, "Did you kill him? You wanted him dead." And so the gangster says, "Yeah, so did everybody. So what? I wanted him dead."
It doesn't mean that
Doesn't
she
mean he
did.
killed it. Just wasn't a confession.
She described at one point watching Vincent float away as euphoric. How do you explain that?
She wanted to go home. She was done.
And when it comes to that missing drain plug, police say Angelica confessed to pulling out of Vince's kayak. Portali says that didn't happen either. That Vince often kayaked without it in so that he could use the drain plug hold to strap the kayak to his car.
We've provided you with pictures so that you can see them where, look, it's not like it's under a microscope, but you can see that the strap is up and then it's through the drain plug hole.
But even so, Portali says the missing plug wasn't the cause of Vincent's death.
The drain plug is 5/8 of an inch in diameter and it's topside on the stern of the kayak. When waves hit the kayak, they crash into the cockpit. So when you get out of your kayak, water has entered the cockpit. When you want to drain the kayak, you hang it upside down and it trickles out the drain plug hole. Water would not enter that drain plug hole in any significant way to cause that kayak to submerge.
So what about the paddle?
Did she tamper with the
Well,
paddle?
No, she didn't tamper with the paddle.
But investigators said she admitted.
No, she didn't admit it.
But there were some things that no one could dispute, like Angelica's bizarre behavior in the days after Vince's kayak capsized.
And some people have criticized her for the way that she was, for doing cartwheels on camera, the yoga, inviting investigators and having a party.
I think to say that some people criticized her is an understatement. Everyone got caught up in watching her, do a cartwheel and thinking, well, she's happy that she must have killed him. She came from a community where open grieving was not an option. You don't cry in Latvia.
And as for the alleged motive, cops say it was the insurance money. Did the unemployed bartender have dollar bills on the brain?
She's not somebody who cares about money. She's not interested in money. She's a very simple girl from a simple country who cares more about flowers and photographs and sunsets than she does about money.
Portali says the bottom line is his client is not responsible for Vince Villafor's death.
I think it was a tragedy. It was caused by a combination of Mother Nature and two people who were not careful. I'm sorry, but he did not respect Mother Nature. The 44-degree water, and he's not wearing a life vest?
Was she wearing a life vest that
She
day?
was, yeah.
Why wasn't he? Did she
He
ever
didn't
tell you?
own one. Let's let that sink in for a second. He didn't own a life vest. That's not Miss Griswold's error.
Whether or not it was Angelica's error, that would be up to the jury. Coming up, a decision that will shock everyone.
Makes me sick.
That crime is the equivalent of keying a Mercedes. It's the equivalent of stealing $1,001. It is the lowest felony on the books.